Okay, now this is going to be, might sound a little bit harsh for some of y'all, but I really can't worry about that at this point. My content, my videos and my posts are geared towards women because I want to help us, because I understand us and I understand our qualms about life, obviously. So I'm here to help us and to raise us up and to bring us clarity so that we're not fighting each other anymore and we're not fighting men. You know, I'm not angry at men anymore. There was a time when I hated them real bad for a long time, but I got past that. I just grew out of it. But um, we're angry about a lot of things. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And what I want to tell you is that sometimes you're going to have to look at what you're doing that brings you the shit you're in. I don't mean to say that you're the only culprit, and everything that's happened to you is because you made it happen, and the world's not really against you. You're just creating your own shit show situation. That's not always the case. There are people that come up out of nowhere and will do something to really try to ruin you. That does happen. You can be minding your own damn business, and somebody will pop up and just destroy something for you. Like that time I hired my friend's uncle because I trusted those guys to come over here and fix my car and fix the fan in the front of the engine that cools the whole engine off. Well, I didn't know that was so simple that I could have fucking done that myself. Now I know because I stood there and watched him do it. And I just thought, I'm giving you $125 to do this when I could have just done this with my eyes closed. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, but like I say, no one tells women things. We're not informed of anything. And so shit happens and we get bamboozled. But we'll save that for later. But that guy, I've talked about him before. And I have mentioned him on my YouTube. There's a whole video dedicated to him, and it's called Ed Bishop in Talladega. Go look it up. It's on there, and it's gonna stay there. So, but I was friends with his nephew because me and him worked together, and we had the same sense of humor and shit like that, and we got along well. His nephew would come into work and say, "Hello, governor," and I was the only person that understood the reference. I was the only person that even knew what he was saying. The people here live in a very small world, so they're not aware of outside things, if you will. I am, because I used to live in England, so it's like there's a lot of shit I keep up with because was there. But anyway, so me and the guy got along, is what I'm trying to say, and we just bullshitted a lot and had a good time, and he was like, well, look, I bought the car from him, but his uncle was the master mechanic who always worked on it. He was like, look, I'll get my uncle to come over to your place, and he'll fix that fan for you. It's no big deal. So I bought the fan. I paid the guy. And then the uncle was like this tall, skinny, old guy with snow white hair. And he I couldn't get rid of him after that. I couldn't get rid of him after that. What I didn't know was that his nephew was planning on pursuing me. And I didn't really know that either. I guess I was just oblivious. Maybe I was dumb. I don't know. But they were both after me. And the uncle knew that the son was coming after me. And he was going to intervene and get me first. And I didn't see that because I trust people. So the uncle, I guess he figured, his nephew was screwing around and was taking too long, so he was going to go ahead and do it. And I couldn't get rid of that guy after that. He called me a lot and wanted to bullshit on the phone for a long time about stupid things that didn't have anything to do with the car. And I got a job right after that, very temporarily, at the Walgreens in Talladega in the pharmacy, because I'm a technician. I'm still a technician. I have my license. I still have my license and everything up to date. I keep it. And because I work so hard for it. But so I got a job at that Walgreens in Talladega, and he showed up in there one day after I had quit talking to him because he was getting on my nerves. Because to me, all that was a transaction where I hired him to fix my car, and then that should have been the end of it. To him, it wasn't. And I was going to learn one way or another that I was going to, be his girlfriend, be the old guy's girlfriend, no matter what, whether I wanted to or not. And he just, it wouldn't go away. But he showed up at my workplace on my first day of work there. He showed up because, come to find out, and I didn't know this until it was too late, that Walgreens in Talladega is next door. If there's a little street, there's like a little back road that runs in between them, but they both face the main road, right? I couldn't tell you what road it is, I don't know, but that Walgreens is next door to his damn auto shop. After how hard it was to try to get rid of him, I ended up working next door to him, and he saw the car. And I was in the pharmacy, and he followed me in there. Well, see, what happened was I saw him walking up to me as I parked the car, coming up the hill, like a little grassy knoll type thing. And I thought, oh my God, I didn't have a gun in the car. I didn't have anything on me, and no mace, no knife, nothing. No one was out there. And this is how it always happens. They know when to do this. They know when to do it because they'll wait until nobody's around so that it'll be your word against theirs. And he knew what he was doing. No one was fucking there. It was just me and the manager in there, training that day or whatever. It was early. It was early on a Sunday. Place hadn't opened yet. Nothing. No one out there. I thought, this guy's going to strangle me in this parking lot, and this is going to be the end of it. This is going to be how I go out, and no one's going to fucking know what happened because there's no one here, because she had me show up so early before everybody else got here, and I've got no witnesses to say who killed me or how. Because I just knew that's what was about to happen, because that's what happens. We get strangled a lot, especially for saying no. And I knew that that's what was about to happen to me. Mercifully, I was wrong for once. But, so I saw him like bounding up the hill with a real determined look on his face. And I thought, oh my God. So I got out of the car and rushed to the front door, and I had the manager on the phone already, like in seconds. And I was like yanking the door, trying to pull it open because it was still sort of locked. She was like, just pull up the thing and come in. And I did, and I closed it behind me. And he stood in the parking lot next to my car and put his arms up like this and said, what? We're not talking anymore? We're not talking anymore? What the fuck is there to talk about? I hired you to fix my car. What is this? So I got in there, and long story short, she didn't feel bad for me, and she thought I was crazy and making things up, and because no one's ever followed her, because no one's looking at her. So she's never been followed. So she's never had to worry about that, which is why she thinks I'm crazy. Do you see that? This is how, well, I hate to put it this way, but this is how unattractive women squash women who get followed. Not that there's ugly women that don't get followed, but, the obviously the pretty ones, or somebody that everybody is looking at is going to pay the price. And she just kind of like laughed and said, don't worry about him. He does that to everybody. And I said, does he follow men? And she just kind of like dismissed it. So she didn't even take up for me. Another woman didn't even help me. Somebody old enough to know that that's what goes on. You can't ask for their help anymore, because then they get obsessed with you and they say, well, I helped you. You're going to drop your pants one goddamn way or another. And it's just like there's no getting away from it. It's like you can't make it stop. So he showed up in the pharmacy later with a big shit-eating grin on his face, and the pharmacist had to tell him to get out of there because who, thank God, was a man, because he wouldn't have listened to a woman. And the pharmacist said, hey buddy, if you're not picking something up, I gotta ask you to move to the side, because I got people lining up behind you, because there are people who are there to pick up medicine who need it. And the pharmacy can't fuck around like that. It's got to be, they have to work fast. There's a lot of pressure there. So he got him out of there, or at least away from the window. And I pulled him aside and I said, look, I hired this guy to fix my car a few weeks ago, and I can't get rid of him. I can't get rid of him. And he said, okay, don't worry about it. I got it. So later on, he witnessed that guy really giving me problems again in the parking lot. And which I was glad for, because I thought, okay, thank God somebody saw it this time. At least someone saw it. And, after that, I went to the police station in tears, running in circles around the building because no one was there and it was dusk. And I thought, well, if this guy's following me everywhere, he's probably followed me here. And there aren't a lot of cars out here. And I banged on the windows. I banged on the glass doors of the police station, crying, trying to get in the building. Everything was locked and like dead. No one was there. And I called 911 and said, I don't know what y'all are doing right now, but I don't give a damn about your quota. You need to come here and help me. I'm being followed, and if I die out here tonight, I'm holding y'all responsible for not being in this fucking building. Period. And she said, yeah, nobody's there because they're all out on patrol. On patrol? Looking for what? Hell, why isn't somebody in the building, to help somebody that shows up like this? And it was getting dark outside, and I was the only person there, and I thought, he's going to come up here and kill me. He's going to come up here and kill me. And that's what I really thought, because it happens so much, and I've been threatened so much. My safety and my well-being and my survival has been threatened so much that I just knew that's what that was next. And somehow, instead of him showing up at the police station right up behind me, follow me, the police officer did show up, and I gave him the story, and I was just weeping because I couldn't take anymore. And he said, look, you wouldn't believe how common this is. I wouldn't believe how common this is? Are you shitting me? Well, as many times as I've had to do this before. So, it's just shit like that. But what I'm saying is, so I know that women who end up, being followed and threatened and shit like that, I know that they don't always bring that on themselves. Hang on, guys. Okay, sorry. So, what was I telling you? So what I mean is, I know that women aren't bringing all this shit on themselves. They really do come out of the woodwork and just like track us down and try to, just take control of everything. It does happen. I know that. But sometimes, aside from shit like that, and you got to be able to know the difference. You got to be able to pay attention to yourself to know the difference. And pay attention to what you do. There are going to be times when you've kind of brought shit on yourself. There are going to be times. And, or times when, you could get out of something and you don't, because, you think you can't or whatever, or you let something continue because you're not going to be real with yourself. I had one who, I mention this guy a lot, and I know I do, and it's because he did so much damage, and there was so much I had to work out on my own and work through on my own, because I had to fix myself. I had to heal myself. And he did a lot in the time that he was in my life, and threatened me a lot. But essentially, I tried to break up with him several times, and he wouldn't let me. And he just, every time I tried to get away from him, he would talk me into staying. He would talk me into staying, and he would talk me into, it was always, no, we can grow together. We can do it together. We can grow together. Because when you're trying to get away from them, when they know they need you, or they're relying that heavily on you emotionally or whatever, they'll tell you that you shouldn't split, because y'all two can grow together, and you can learn together as a couple, and do your soul searching together with each other. Let me tell you something. The reason you're wanting to break up with him is because that's not working. Because if it was, it wouldn't be an issue, and you wouldn't have to be telling him, okay, this isn't going to work anymore. That wouldn't be a problem. And then there wouldn't be any conversation about, well, we can still do this together. Why don't we just work on it together? We've been working on it together. That's why it's not fucking working and I want to go. So, but that is common. Really common. No, we can do it together. No, I don't want to do it together. I have to get away from you because I can't fucking think straight. I have to get away from you. Women have to get away from men in order to soul search and improve on themselves. They have to get men out of their life for that. Because until then, they're still taking care of them and doing what they want. And it's you do what you want for yourself or you do what they want. It's what you pick one. Pick one. But you can't do both. If you're that miserable and he's insisting you stay, because y'all can work it out together and you can grow together and you can learn your life lessons together and you can soul search together and be miserable and in the dark together. That's more and more red flags telling you that you need to just go ahead and go because it's not working. It hasn't worked so far and you're miserable and it's time to go. And that's it. So, but where I, allowed shit to continue that I shouldn't have was when I hated myself and thought I didn't deserve better, and I let him continue to stay in my life. I let him stick around because I thought I couldn't do any better. I thought I couldn't do better, and I thought, no, I better hang on to him because I'm not going to find anything better than this. Every time I've told myself that, I've been wrong. Well, in some ways I've been right because I haven't found the right man for me, and I may never. There may not be a right one for me, and I don't know if I'm bothered by that. I'm not really sure I'm worried about that because I'm so much happier by myself, and my son certainly is too. So, that just may not be something I'm meant to do, and really I'm okay with that because I'm a lot happier alone. But there was shit that I allowed to continue because I thought I couldn't do better than that. And a lot of things that happened, didn't have to happen had I put my foot down when I was, the first 10 times I realized I was sick and tired. And, I didn't put my fucking foot down and speak up and say, okay, this is going to come to an end and you're just going to have to screw with somebody else. You're just going to have to find somebody else's legs to get between because I can't do this with you anymore. And that's just, I don't regret any of it because all of it happened for a reason and I learned a lot. So it's like I don't look back on it and think I should have done this, I should have done that. No, everything happened like it was supposed to. But at the same time, a lot of shit continues because you let it. If you're in a miserable situation and you look around and you hate your life, you look around and hate your life because that's a self-esteem issue. Because, like I say, if you really thought you deserved better, you would strive for better. You would strive for better. Because I catch myself doing it all the time. Here lately, I've made a big change in my life, and I got divorced, and I've never felt better. I've never felt better. He didn't do me wrong. He's not like some horrible person, whatever. It's not that. It's just, but we were so goddamn incompatible. And in the beginning, I ignored it. Sorry. In the beginning, I ignored it, and because I thought, no, I just want him to be happy. So I abandoned myself, right? And it got worse and worse and worse. And then I did it for a year and a half, and then I got out. And I got out about a month ago, and I've never felt better about my life. And every time I break up with somebody or I separate from a man, I feel better about my life. So I probably don't have any business, worrying about having a man in my life. I probably don't even need to be doing that because I'm so much happier without him. I function better. And being married was like the hardest thing I've ever done, besides burying dad. So I really don't need to be doing that. Just don't need it. And I don't want it. And I didn't want it in the beginning. I was taught that was what would make me happy. And I went with what I was taught instead of what I wanted. So, and that was self-abandonment, which is very dangerous. So, But there is shit that you can bring on yourself by, allowing things to continue. And you allow it to continue because you think you're not going to do any better, and that's your self-esteem getting in your way. You're getting in your own way. If you're sick of your life, or if you're sick of some part of your life that just is really, debilitating and aggravating and really hurts you, you need to really sit down and ask yourself, why the fuck am I letting this continue? Or if there's some habit you have that isn't really helpful to you and you still do it anyway, you need to sit down and ask yourself, why am I letting this continue? It's not helping you. The habit or the situation, whichever. Pick something. It's not good for you. You it hurts. It doesn't enrich your life. So why the hell are you letting it continue? You're going to have moments in your life, especially as an adult. You're going to have moments in your life where you sit down and have a chat with yourself about whether or not something's really working for you. If it's not working and you're miserable, then you might have to just look at that. I don't like to talk harshly to people, because I try not to do that because I don't think it's totally necessary. But sometimes it's just like some shit's got to be said. Just has to be said. And that includes, clients, non-clients, whatever, friends, whatever. This applies to everybody. Just like that boyfriend that I tried to break up with so many times, and he, I let him talk me out of it. Because I thought I couldn't do better. I thought I wouldn't live better after I got rid of him. So I kept him. And I was absolutely miserable. And I let him convince me, because I listened to him instead of my own instinct. Abandoned myself, and then, look at me. So, then finally the day came when I thought, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. And I called him while he was at work. And because he destroyed so much of me that I didn't care that he was at work when I called him. I didn't care. After what he had done to me, which is some of it I'm probably ever going to talk about, maybe in a long time, maybe in several years, but not right now. But after the shit he did to me, that I didn't see coming, I didn't feel bad about calling him at work to break up with him. And he was raging. Absolutely raging. And, raging. And and then what happens after that? The first thing out of their mouth is going to be about money. Well, I paid for blah, blah, or I bought you this, or, I'm going to cut off your phone because I've been paying for that, blah, blah. And let me tell you something. When women get to the point where they don't care about money anymore and they don't care about your money, that's when you need to worry, because we're about to cut you off and we're not worrying about money. We're not worrying about whether or not you pay for something, because we'll figure it out. Because we're at a point now where it's gotten so bad that we don't care what we lose. We're ready to go. And so after I hung up with him, and that was like an hour and a half on the phone with him, and after I hung up, he messaged me. He copied and pasted a paragraph that he had typed to me and messaged me on every social media account that I had. And it was like a race between me and him to see if I could block him on all those things. As soon as because I started getting notifications from all of them like a few seconds apart. I was like, what the hell? And I realized he was going to get his point across, come hell or glory, about how awful I was and what an awful person I was. And so I raced him through these apps, competed with him to block him in time so he wouldn't be able to keep talking to me. And it took a while. It took a few months. It took several months, but I got him out of my life. But I let that shit go on like that because I thought I couldn't do better. But I let it go on because I didn't. And there were times when he would do what gaslighting really is, and people don't seem to understand this. They think when somebody's offended that's gaslighting. That's not what that is. Gaslighting is when somebody makes you think that your reality is different from what it is. For example, well, you said blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, I didn't say that. That is not what I said. I said blah, 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 blah. Here's a screenshot. No, no, this was in person. No, it wasn't. But if you're like me and you trust him, like I trusted him instead of myself, because he picked me for that reason. Because they could smell it like a shark smells blood. Your low self-esteem. That's why they pick you and do this to you. But him, you know, he had me convinced that my memory was going, because we argued so much about what I had said and didn't say, that I voluntarily took myself to Rite Aid, and he went with me and was helping me pick out memory vitamins. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. He had me convinced. And this was after much trial and tribulation over whether or not I had said things, you know, or not said things to him over like several months. And I know he would tell me things and like quote myself back to me. Well, you said blah, 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 blah. And I don't know the times that I sat there and thought to myself, son of a bitch, that doesn't even sound like me. I don't even talk like that. That's not even a word I would use. I've never even used that word before. It's not in my lexicon. You know, like I knew in my heart of hearts, like from the depths of my soul, that something that was quoted to me didn't sound like me. I knew that. And I still let it continue. I let him get away with it because I was convinced that I had to let him lead the way. And that's horse shit. You know, don't let anybody lead the way. Because that's, you know, that's what can happen when you put somebody in power. And I hate that, you know, to reveal that as being my mindset, but I'm not going to lie to you and tell you, you know, everything's perfect. So, but I let that go on. And there was no reason for that. I still learned some life lessons, and looking back, I'm glad for it. In fact, I might post about it today, to be honest, because that's a big thing. And yeah. So it's just, you know, it's part of life, but you have to, you're going to be eventually, you know, after so long of struggling with things, and after struggling with being wrong, and after struggling with abandoning yourself, you know, you're going to be pushed to a point where you can't take anymore and you just want to die. And that point is the point at which you need to ask yourself if you're going to change your ways. There are people who like to do other shit to other people, you know, argue or, you know, start chaos, you know, with other people because it's entertaining to watch people, you know, kill each other over shit. Like the people who run the world and having everybody fight wars when we don't need to be doing that. They like that. And they get rich off of it. But we'll get to that some other time. But, you know, you have to... There's going to come a time as an adult when you're going to have to sit down and ask yourself... Damn. When you're going to have to sit down and ask yourself, you know, do I want this to continue? Or what can I do to, you know, put a stop to this? Because it's going to be up to you. You're in more control than you think. You're really in more control than you think. And you've been taught that you're not, especially women. You know, we're taught that we just need to, you know, take what life gives us and shut up and be grateful and you let it be that. And that's not working. That's not working. That's why we're so damn angry. Women are fucking furious. Women get mad. Well, men get mad when they can't control other people, and women get mad when they can't control themselves. To put it plainly, that's what I've seen. And I mean, that's all I've seen. But men will act up when they can't control somebody else. They can't control themselves, but in turn, they try to control other people. And then when that doesn't work is when they start killing. It's like all those, you know, unsolved mysteries, those poor 1980s women that just like said no to a date and then like ended up getting their throat cut in their own kitchen. That type of shit. But when women act up, when women show their asses, it's because they can't control, they think they can't control their own lives. They think they can't control their own lives. And they get so angry about it that they just go haywire. And, that it's a shitty mindset. But once you see yourself going haywire and acting crazy, you need to sit down and be honest with yourself about what you're doing that might be hurting you, because you could be doing some shit that's making you miserable, and you're just going to have to face it. This shit where people and women especially are afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of being wrong because they know they're responsible for people's survival, everybody's survival and well-being around them, and having clean clothes and having something to eat, and getting to school, and being available for him at night, and shit like that. Everybody's got to get what they need from you. And if you're wrong about something, you've made a mistake. And if you've made a mistake because everybody's relying on you and counting on you to do your job right all the time, that puts everyone at risk for being in danger of some kind. So you can't be wrong. You see what I mean? That's the mindset. And that's the mentality. And that is really horrible, because it makes it to where you're not allowed to make a mistake. Because men don't say that about themselves. They don't give a goddamn if they make a mistake. They tell everybody, they tell everybody to just suck their balls. And we just have to do it, we just have to listen to it. But we don't do that. If we make a mistake, we think the world's can come to an end, because we know we're responsible for everybody's well-being, and there's no wriggle room. There's no options to fuck up. There's no space for that. Because if you do, it hurts everybody around you. And we know that. And the pressure to be perfect all the time and to not screw up, that's why we micromanage and we bug people to get things done and shit like that. That's why we do that. We look like maniacs to people who aren't feeling the same pressure. Period. I said it, Go ahead and, whine about it. It's got to be said. And that's it. Simple as. So, damn, these bugs. Shit. What was I going to tell you? Okay, so we're afraid of being wrong. What was the rest of it? Oh, yeah, soul searching. So, what I'm saying is, first of all, ladies, it's okay to be wrong one time. It's okay to be wrong 10 times. It's okay to be wrong 100 times. You learn through being wrong. That's it. So quit killing yourself over making a mistake. Let's start with that, firstly. Secondly, like I say, you just got to look at your life and examine the parts that hurt and what you might be doing to let it slide. Usually women, when they're miserable, it's because they've let something slide. They let it slide and they let it continue because they thought they couldn't do anything about it, and they just let it keep happening. And now they're ready to kill somebody because they can't take anymore. Whereas if a man doesn't like something, he'll just squash it and push it out of the way. And they don't let things continue that make them unhappy. They just don't. You don't see that. Those say, well, to hell with you, and they'll get rid of you one way or another. If it means killing you, they'll kill you. Because apparently that's still going on. But it's easy being 3 times bigger than your target, than the only targets you ever choose. So my point is, look at your life and ask yourself some real questions about what you're doing. And be honest with yourself. Look at your habits and say, okay, well, if I keep doing this, is this making this happen continually? I keep letting him do this. Why am I still letting him do this? Because I think I don't deserve any better. Well, why is that? Well, that's because I was raised that way. Well, guess what? How you were raised isn't helping you right now. And it might be time to forget about how you were raised and just start doing things differently now, because that's not helping your case at all. Not helping you. And that's just what I think. So it's not that everything is, I'm never going to tell somebody that every single thing that happens to them is their fault. It's not like that. And I know I've said, that the energy you send out is the energy you bring to yourself, and that is true too. But there's more to it than that. I'd have to save that for another talk. But um, um, you know, you just have to be honest with yourself, because some shit you allow to happen, and then you're mad at the world when it's okay to be mad, but you don't have to be mad. You just have to be, clear with yourself. And then once you have clarity on what you're doing to yourself, the rest is a little bit easier. And then it's a lot easier. So it's just something to keep in mind. Thanks.